Good morning everyone, thanks for joining me. Those who don't know me, I'm Rudy Venter and I'm a landscape photographer from South Africa. This morning I'm planning to capture some nice color in the sky here in the Karoo area of South Africa. I'm on a rocky outcrop here, specifically looking forward to shooting some of the leading lines. There's some very nice leading lines into the distance with some aloes and other plants in between, really interesting rock formations. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the color that I want, because as you can see in the background, we've got clouds, but they're quite low on the horizon, so we might not actually get the wanted light underneath the clouds. But I'm here anyway. It's beautiful out here this morning. Only thing that's not so beautiful is the mosquitoes, and that's why I'm dressed like it's winter. I'm trying not to donate so much blood to the mosquitoes, so I'm keeping my skin covered where possible. Thanks again for joining me. Let's see what we can find this morning. Here in the foreground you can see what I was actually hoping to shoot, or am hoping to shoot I should say. I specifically like the leading line of the rocks coming from the bottom right, running right across the image towards where the sun should rise. And then we've got the euphorbia, the one next to the rock on the right hand side, and the one just to the left of the rock bottom. Very beautiful plants. Sometime when they flower I need to come and reshoot this image as well, but yes, unfortunately the color in the sky is not happening at the moment. We can live in hope, maybe you can see something, but it's just light grayish blue with a bit of yellow on the horizon. Not the expected explosion of color that we normally get when we've got clouds like this. Okay, this is now getting light enough for 1/10 of a second. And I will probably shoot it at f13 or maybe even f14 I think, just to make sure that I don't have to do any exposure stacking. But I'm focused about 1/3 into the image, but at 17 millimeters basically everything is in focus. So I'm going to do a quick exposure stack here. I'm just going to take one image with my hand in it, just to show myself that's where the stack starts. And then I'm going to take one image 1/6 of a second, f14 ISO 100, and then I will underexpose maybe by 1/3 of the stop as well, or maybe even a full stop. Let's make it a full stop just to make sure I don't lose any detail in the cloud. And then to get the foreground right, I'm going to do a +1, which is now 0.4 of a second f14, and I'll do a +2 stop overexposure, and that should really be enough. I think the sky will be totally blown, but bit more sky detail, and there's actually enough sky detail there in the one that is at -1. So I think that's worthwhile. And as we are looking at this, the color in the sky is getting better, so there's still hope. As you can see in the image there, it's just getting to the point where it's getting interesting now. I just wish the blue was a bit bluer, but it's no use trying to use a polarizer at this, because the sun is right from the front. It's not going to make much difference, and you might end up with a blotch in the sky, which is not really nice. So no polarizer, unfortunately. Take another image, 1/8 of a second, f14. Hopefully it'll be a bit overexposed on the horizon there. So I want to check focus quickly. Yes, it looks like the plants in the foreground are nicely in focus. I'm just going to shoot one at -0.7 just to make sure I don't blow the sky completely. Now there should be no overexposure in the sky. Yes, the sky is clear. Slight underexposure in the foreground, but that's fine. Here we have the first image. I do like the basic composition, specifically the rock coming from the bottom right towards the center of the image, the two cactuses, and then the clouds in the sky. They also point towards where the sun will hopefully rise soon. What I do not like about it is there's too much light in the foreground. The foreground is just maybe slightly too light. There's also quite a bit of dead space towards the left. So as you'll see here, that I've actually cropped it into an almost square composition and managed to get rid of some of the stuff on the left hand side. And I also darkened the foreground slightly, dropped the highlights of the foreground just a bit. I think this is more to to what I saw in my mind's eye, what I wanted to achieve. Not a winner of image, but I think there's a definite potential in the composition. Once the sun is above the horizon, I've actually got another composition in mind here. Turning my back to the sun and shooting a very interesting tree. I'm almost next to the tree here. Very interesting shapes. I'm just hoping that I'll get a bit of color in the sky in the reverse direction, away from the sun, and then also hopefully some soft light on the tree itself. But first, let's try and get the last bit of color in the sky here, and then look at the B option for the composition. This composition I'm shooting now is really the one that I've been planning for a couple of days, just waiting for the clouds to arrive. I think I might be close to the peak of the color now. Don't think it's going to get much better. So not spectacular this morning, but as you can hear, lots of birds around, and I saw some karoo in the distance. There's even a donkey or two around, which they seem to be quite tame. But it's nice to be out in nature and get away a bit and have a break from everyday life. So even if I don't get a single photo, I'll still come out here. Let's not talk too much. Let's take another image. There's still some color changes. You might have just heard the donkey in the distance. While I was waiting for the light on the composition on the ground with the rocks and the plants, I also took a couple of shots with a second camera with a 400mm lens. And as you can see, this is just the horizon, just to the right of where the sun would come up. Mountains, clouds, and some nice orange in the sky. And I actually think it is a very peaceful scene. And yes, quite often I end up shooting with two cameras at the same time while waiting. You can't change lenses all the time and change composition all the time. So trying to maximize the time I'm there and also not to be bored while waiting for the light to change. There's always something else to see as well. Okay, the color is slowly but surely getting better on the horizon. The very low clouds on the horizon now have a bit of color, but I really want to be lit up the rest of the sky, especially towards the left hand of the composition over the hill. There's a nice bank of clouds with lots of texture in it, but no color at the moment. But yeah, the foreground is slowly getting lighter. My exposure time at the moment is about 1/3 of a second. At f11 ISO 100, so the light is definitely building up, and as I'm speaking there's a bit of color forming in the sky. It's definitely worth a try. Let's see if I can find something. While I'm waiting for the sky to light up a bit, I'm trying a slightly different composition here. Not much different, but I've zoomed in from 17 to about 28mm. I've eliminated the euphorbia on the right hand side and a lot of the rock as well, but I've got a very solid, nice leading line out of the right hand corner with some foreground interest. I'm now making the foreground more important than the sky, since the sky is not really that interesting at the moment. So this might be a worthwhile shot. 1/4 of a second, f14. I'm shooting it at 0.3 of a stop underexposed just to make sure. Yeah, and even so, the sky is still blown quite badly. Let's go to -1. I don't want to lose what little color and detail we have in the sky. Still a bit overexposed. Let's go to even -2. Going to end up doing an exposure merger. Let's see what that looks like. Yes, tiny bit on the horizon, but I'm not too worried about that. But for sake of completeness, shoot a -3 as well. That should give us all the detail possibly in the sky. Let's zoom in there. There's a bit of color in the sky, but not really beautiful color. It's got a slight green tint to it as well, so I might end up playing a bit there with the hue. I really don't like my skies to be green. So this is what turned out to be the final image of the morning. It had the nicest balance, I think, of foreground detail with some light, reflected light on the foreground, and also some color in the sky. I think it's a relatively strong composition here, with leading lines both from bottom right towards the center and also from about a third up on the left hand side, bottom also towards the center, and then the clouds all pointing towards where the sun is just coloring the sky, that yellow-orange color. I love the texture in the ground, the dark orange color of the ground. I love the action in the sky, and the detail in the rocks in the foreground also is a huge bonus. I think overall this image made the effort worthwhile. And yes, if there's one image in a shoot, it's great. If there's none, it's also okay. As I said early on, I'd rather be out there not getting a photo than sitting at home in front of the computer or doing something else equally boring. Well, I think that's it for this morning. Unfortunately, the sky never really lit up. And as you might be able to see, it's getting quite dark again. I think there's some quite heavy clouds on the horizon. So that also unfortunately rules out the soft light I was hoping for the tree. But that's fine. I think there are 2 or 3 of the images that might work. There are definitely 2 compositions here that I need to come back to with the right light. There's some aloes as well, but they're going to need probably afternoon, just as the sun goes below the horizon, I think, with some clouds for some soft color. There's a whole, I won't say field of them, but quite a few of them. So that's the plan. Maybe tomorrow we are luckier. It was a beautiful morning out here anyway. Getting a bit chillier, interestingly enough. The temperatures probably drop 5 or 6 degrees. Probably some front coming in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me this morning on my little adventures. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. You can look in the description below to go look at my website, where you can purchase prints and other merchandise. For serialized limited edition prints, please contact me direct. Then we can make arrangements. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time, probably in a week's time. Have a great day and keep safe. Cheerio.